Good morning and welcome to the Top Flight Series for 2026. I'm Rich Morell and we had a couple of big races last weekend. We had Valencia 10K, we had the World Cross Country, but today we take it up a notch because we're live in Newcastle. We're down the quayside. It is the Newcastle 10K. Now, with any Top Flight Series broadcast, I always have a right-hand man, a commentary gig on the side job with me, and today it's no exception. We've got the bad boy of British athletics. Some say the bad boy of British athletics. Some say he's never been on time before. I personally agree with both of them statements. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Cameron Ross-Boyack. Cam, it's good to have you again.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a cracker, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Cam were just having a quick chat offline there. Tell you what, the weather conditions are absolutely perfect for a 10K this morning. But what I did notice, it's so dark driving in. You know, you were talking about having nighttime races. When I was driving up the Pannone bypass this morning, I was like, it feels like it's going to be a nighttime race because it is so dark.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a good thing because it's morning time. It's dark and it's throwing it down. Well, it's not throwing it down with the rain. It's drizzling. It's drizzling. It's not too bad. Yeah. Like, what's that old saying? Isn't it that if it's drizzling, there's more oxygen in the air or something like that?
Is that really true?
I don't actually know if that's true.
I can't see it. But hey, if it is, we'll take anything we can get.
I just remember hearing it from a parent when I was younger. I never bothered to research it, so maybe I should research it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll take anything we can get for some quick times this morning. So, like I said, it is Top Flight Series for 2026, the third year that Top Flight is going off, and we're kicking things off in Newcastle with the home fixture to start this series of 2026. Now, we normally have 12 fixtures in 2026, but we've slung an extra one in there. We've got the Chester Marathon going off. So actually this year there's going to be 13 fixtures in the Top Flight Series. So plenty of action from us and plenty of commentary from me and Mr. Boyack here. So what have we got going on this morning? Obviously it is the Newcastle 10K, but for anyone that's just tuning in for the first time, we're going to bring up our graphics that just relates to the point scoring system that's associated with the Top Flight Series. So with Top Flight, it's slightly different to a few other races that you might have going on across the UK. This is a series, so this is a point scoring system. And what happens in that is when you're racing one of these races, if you finish within the top 10, you get some points allocated to you depending on your positioning, and that counts to an overall series. So 3 races count towards the series, and what your total points are at the end of the series will culminate in cash prizes. So there's plenty going on across the series. People can tactically pick races where they think they might excel better at a 10K or a half marathon versus the shorter distance over 5K, but we run a range of races across the UK. So plenty of information on our Top Flight Series website regarding that one. Cam, obviously, you know, we had our winners last year, Omar Ahmed again and Megan Stenhouse. Megan, she is racing today, and we'll get into those athletes as we get through the broadcast as well. But, you know, just a note from you, thoughts on the series. I know we've chatted about this before. It's back in its third year. It's looking to be bigger. We're looking to do a bit more and try and attract a more quality and depth to the races. But, you know, what are your thoughts going forward for this 2026 season that's about to kick off today?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, well, for a number of reasons. One is, again, we've got a new event. I think that's, you know, bringing a marathon in there definitely shakes things up a lot.
Yeah.
But in general, I think last year you were talking about the depth, you know, the quality of the depth, or should I say the consistency of the quality of the depth, you know, is something that we're really aiming to improve this year. I think last year we've seen some big names turn out, which was a big improvement on, and I think we're going to see some fireworks this year compared to last year. You know, it's starting to establish itself. I know Chris Parr's doing a fantastic job behind the scenes trying to get this thing, keep this thing improving, and yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'm looking forward to the races.
Yeah, and we've mentioned the cash prizes that are associated with the races, and we'll try and bring you a bit more information on them throughout the broadcast. So you can see there on our graphics. So we have a race winner that takes £200. And then there's also a financial gain associated with first, second, all the way down to 8th place there, depending on whether you hit our time qualifying standards as well, which for a 10K, which we'll focus on today, is 30 minutes for the men and 34 for the women. So if you win the race and then you're under that 30-minute mark there, there's a potential of 450 quid there. That's this morning. Then we get into things like course record bonuses and things like that. You mentioned Chris Parr there. Chris absolutely loves this series. It's his baby with RunThrough, and he's really pushed it. And obviously we're going into the third year, so we thought, why not get a few words from Mr. Chris Parr? So I feel like the guys in the studio are going to flick that quote up, and right on cue, there it is. So that's a few words from Mr. Chris Parr, our race director of the Top Flight Series. You can read that for yourselves, but I'm sure he's absolutely thrilled about getting things kicked off, and especially in Newcastle as well, being a northeast lad. Now, in terms of the race, what we've got going on this morning, we've got a strong field. I would say the depth on the men's side is there's a bit more depth there. But they're quite closely bunched. But on the ladies' side of things, we'll flick up our leading entries there because we've got a familiar name in Stacey Smith competing this morning, 33.52 PB, and we've got last year's series winner Megan Stenhouse in 34.14. I'm intrigued to see how those two go today, Cam. I think that there's going to be a bit of a tussle there, I reckon.
Oh, definitely. I think as well, there might be a bit of a tussle, there might not. I think it depends again. Like, we don't really know what sort of shape Stacey's in right now. We were talking about in the podcast earlier in the week, weren't we, that, if we see Stacey on the start list, it's always exciting. And I remember watching her, and when we were sat in the studio previously, I think it was almost 2 years ago now, coming up to this summer anyway.
Yeah.
Where she turned out for the Quayside 5K and absolutely obliterated the course record.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of out of nowhere. So whether that's going to happen today or not, I don't know. I think she competed in cycling, in a cyclocross race last week. Maybe she's just trying to utilise, her fitness gain from that. I don't know. But she's always on form when she toes the line, isn't she?
That's the thing, yeah. With Stacey, I think she doesn't... I mean, I'm not saying this is an absolute, but I wouldn't imagine she'd be turning out for Newcastle, the Newcastle 10K, if she wasn't in reasonable shape. And, we know what Stacey's mindset like. She's an ultimate competitor, I think, and she will absolutely want to take maximum points and take the win. So it's going to be a bit of a fraught competition there. But, Megan Stenhouse as well, she took the series last year as well. So, we can't overlook Megan at all. On the men's side of things, we've got our leading men there. Lawrence McCourt is actually out due to injury. So we've got Alex Brown. He's our leading entry there. We've got Chris Coulson. He was my pick to take the win. Kevin Campbell there, 29.50, and Dominic Jones. So there's a few athletes around that 29.30 to 30.30 mark that are certainly going to have an impact on this race, and I think as well will actually turn it into a race. Will the course records go? I'm not too sure. The men's side is really strong, 29.28 with Cameron Allen, and equally the ladies as well. Jasmine Wood back in 2024, 33.37. The athletes out there will have to be going some to get under them marks this morning. And talking of marks as well, I think we should give a shout out to Ben Felton. Mr. Ben is running on the social media. I'm sure a lot of people watching this will be aware of his YouTube and Instagram account. He puts lots of running content out there. He's actually targeting this race this morning, looking for a sub-30 run. So I think if he's going to do it, Cam, he's got decent conditions, he's got a good course, and he's got a good pack of athletes around that sub-30, 30-minute mark to just jump in, switch off, and click some kilometres away. It's
like you say, there's no wind. It's flat as a pancake. It's 2 laps. A lot of it's straight running. And I think that if he's ever going to have a good chance of doing it at this point in the year, I think this is the best place to do it.
Yeah, and as we say that, Cam, we're off.
There we go.
Newcastle 10K 2026 Top Flight Series underway. And you can see, Cam, the weather, it does look a little bit damp, but I tell you what I like straight away there. Look at them people down the quayside, watching them athletes kick onto that course to kick things off for 2026. So the course itself is a couple of 5K loops. It is out and back, and it is flat as a pancake. Cam, you've ran along the quayside. I've ran along the quayside. Never raced on the quayside.
I've been to watch the Quayside 5K before, and I did mention that in the podcast that it was an event that I really, really enjoyed watching, because the thing about the Quayside 5Ks is that it's rare anyway. I mean, we've seen it on New Year's Eve. It's rare that you get to see a city centre 5K. And to be honest with you, this is, the Quayside isn't bang in the centre, but it's pretty central of Newcastle. And I think a lot of people like to come down. It's pretty scenic and watch and support, and you usually get pretty decent crowds. So, I mean, for this time in the morning, will we see decent crowds or not? I don't know. I would like to think so, but I think, to be honest with you, the majority of people that are going to be down there will be running. So it's a good place to race. I think I would like to do that at some point, though.
Yeah, definitely. It is a really good place to race there. And you can see there is plenty of people down there for the start. Yeah, it does look a little bit damp, but can that won't deter the runners this morning for getting after it. Obviously, there's the incentive of the cash prizes, like we mentioned, and clicking points for the overall series as well. And if you you know, if you pick your races smart, you can certainly score points that are going to really, you know, push you up that leaderboard there. So we can see at the front of the race there, we've got a couple of the Morpeth Harriers. It looks like Peter Smallcombe on the front there with Chris Coulson just tucked in behind. And I believe it's Kevin Campbell, the Cambuslang athlete there in first place. So Kevin, I think looking at his history, Cam, when we were chatting about him the other night, it seems as though he's a vet 35 athlete. But he only really got into running in the last couple of years, and he's carved that 10K PB down to 29.50 and 48.37 over 10 mile and a 65.32 half marathon. To top it off, he's ran a 2:17 marathon as well. So he's got good range there, Cam. And I always think that athletes that have, you know, maybe gone up the distances, especially when someone's tackled a marathon, I feel when they come down to 10K, they almost have this, you know, nonchalant, relaxed attitude about racing a 10K. And you can see here, he's just straight to the front, is Kevin, and just thought, right, I'm getting on with this. You know, when you've been through a marathon, I think maybe that gives you, you know, a little bit of a slight competitive edge over the athletes that have maybe just focused on the 5 and 10Ks and the shorter distances. Would you agree with that, Cam, or are you saying that I'm talking in cloud cuckoo land here?
I think you made a good point. I think that he's just come off the back of, you know, some pretty long distances, and I think it really is not going to suit him if he sits in here, and he's really got to start winding up from early doors. But I would be honest with you, based on the times we've seen so far here, you know, he's not got the fastest time on paper, but, you know, I think that it's important for him to really utilise that strength where possible right now. You can just see on the screen there, just it looks like Megan Stenhouse at the front. I think that's our leading female. Can't see Stacey Smith in the mix as of yet. But like we said, we have already seen that Megan is in good form. She's in racing form as well. She's just come off a really good quality Ribble Valley, and also she ran well, I think, as well at the Hawaii Hogman 5K as well.
Yeah, she did have a good run out there. She strung together a series of good races, and, you know, was obviously rewarded with taking that title, the 2025 Top Flight Series champion there. Had a really good run out at Ribble Valley, like you said, Cam. And I think we chatted about her in the preview to the Ribble Valley race, and she was a one that we felt, you know, could really have an impact on the race, and, you know, certainly did, and, you know, came through and took the title on that day. So yeah, great that we can see that split screen there. So we've got both streams going. We can see the Megan Stenhouse there, looks to be leading the ladies race. And it is Kevin Campbell still on the front there, and you can see the two Morpeth athletes just tucked in behind him. So that'll be Chris Coulson and Peter Smallcombe, I think, Cameron Boyack. And Chris Coulson was someone who I tipped to win this race. He's a 29.39 PB. He's been picking up a few victories, and he's made some big improvements. You know, 2024, he was a 31.01 10K runner, and he chopped that prior to that, and then he chopped that down to 29.47 in the space of a year. He's also won the Northeast Cross Country Championships as well, and he's had some really good runs out over the cross countries. He's 36th in the under-23 race at Liverpool as well, 22nd in the Bucks cross country. So, you know, he's got form on the road, but he's also got form on the mud as well. We can see Ben Felton in that group as well, Cam, just sat behind the Morpeth Harrier there. So he's obviously got himself involved early doors, and yeah, Cam, this is shaping up to be a race, and I think that's something we said on the pod. We felt that maybe this group, it might not fragment, it might not string out early doors, because they're so bunched in terms of time that actually they'll probably be watching each other a little bit and thinking, well, I'm not going to take too much of the wind here, or I'm not going to set the pace too much or burn my energy tank down, because I know these guys are similar to me. So, you know, everyone's going to be wanting the easy ride. And I think everyone's going to try and stick in a pack a little bit more.
Yeah, I think at the early doors at this stage in the race, I think, is there any natural front runners here? I don't know, other than Kevin Campbell from Cambuslang. But I tell you what, those Cambuslang boys are strong. I think they're headed up by Michael Johnson. I'm not sure if Michael does coach Kevin or not. I think it's kind of impossible to tell right now. The power of 10 is down, but if he is, it's no surprise to see him at the front, nice and strong. Just on the shoulder there, you can just see Chris Coulson, like you've just said there. His improvements have been remarkable this year. To go from, like I say, 31 minutes down to sub 30 minutes in the space of a year, you know, it's no surprise to see him up there. And it would be nice to see him kind of take this by the scruff of his neck and really sort of hit the front. But another runner we did mention in the podcast that does seem to be up there when we can just get back from the split screen is Oscar Simmons, and I did tip him myself to be potentially a winner here. And, you know, he's a GB mountain runner himself, and doesn't really hit the roads too often, and so his times I don't really think do him justice. A 31-minute 10K. I've trained with him myself a few years ago, and he was very, very strong then. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds for him, whether he stays with the pace, whether he doesn't, because really at the front right now, Kevin Campbell isn't slowing down. He keeps checking his watch. He clearly knows what splits he's looking for. He's here to run his own race. Same with Ben is running as well. You know, I've watched, I say Ben is running, you called him Ben is running. Ben Felton, should I say? Sorry, Ben. What I was about to say is that I've watched Ben's channel, which is Ben is running, and you know, he's usually pretty on it with his splits and his stats, and he keeps looking at his watch too, which is probably explains why he's up there as well. If he's going for that sub 30 minutes, I can imagine if he hasn't hit the front yet, they're probably operating around about just under 30-minute pace at this moment in time. So it's a good lick. Will it improve, and will the pace improve, should I say, as they come round for the second lap? Still a while to go. We're only 2.5K in, so we're only 25% of the race down. We will come back on ourselves now, just do a quick hairpin loop, and I think we will start to see a few more players start to, you know, settle into the race. It does look, though, I'm just looking from the screen, it does look like Oscar Simmons has dropped off already, which is surprising to see, but clearly just shows the pace that Kevin Campbell has been putting in from the front.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Cam. And I think that's Dominic Jones at the back of that pack as well. So we've got Kevin Campbell, we've got the two Morpeth boys, Coulson and Smallcombe, and then it looks like Ben Felton is in there as well, just sitting on the back of that pack as well. And I believe it is Dominic Jones in there. I expected to see Monty Watson up there as well, Cam. He's just gone, well, he went sub 30 minutes on this course last year as well. He's ran a few of the top flight races, but I can't pick him out in that pack at the moment. So intrigued to see how this one folds out. Cam, I think you were right when you mentioned that they were checking their watches and looking at the splits there, and they went through the 2K mark, and it looked to be, obviously there's a little bit of variability with the clock we've got on the live stream and the actual marks and things like that, so we don't want to quote this too much. We will get some live updates of some splits at some point during the race though. But it looked to be around that 2K mark. There was a check of the watch as well, and I think, you know, that can be comforting for the athletes. It can either be a sign that, you know, I'm controlled here, this is the pace I want to run, or it might be a case of, you know, Kevin's looking at the clock and thinking, right, I'm maybe overcooking it here, why am I taking the lead too much? It doesn't look like that's been the case, because actually he's still on the front, he's still churning away, and he's doing a lot of the early running here. And for the other lads behind him, this is the perfect scenario for Ben, who's targeting that sub 30. This is perfect for him. He's got a set of 4 or 5 pacemakers in front of him there. All he has to do is just sit in the pack, let them do the work, get towed round. I always liken this to the peloton in the Tour de France. If you're on the front of it, they reckon you're burning about 40% more energy trying to get them breakaways, taking the wind, setting the pace. If you can save, you know, 10, 15% of your energy by drafting off somebody else, like Ben is now sat in the pack, like the Morpeth lads are sat in the pack, then that's only going to pay dividends to you down the line, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think I was mentioning this to you actually when I was watching the Valencia 10K, and I was basically saying about Joe Wigfield, about how perfect he ran the race. I seen him, he sat in the pack, didn't need to do too much work, nice and relaxed, and it was almost similar to the sub-2 Kipchoge event, wasn't it, that Nike put on, where, you know, there must have been a bunch of 15 of them, and most of the athletes got to sit in and sort of take the ride and conserve their energy as much as possible. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. But I tell you what I would say just briefly is that Kevin Campbell has a couple of serious runs in the last year as well. 3rd at the National Scottish Cross Country Championships, which is a serious run, because there's some strong runners up there. A 48.37 10 miles. That kind of explains for it in itself exactly why we're seeing him at the front.
Yeah.
Not all of his personal bests, based off the fact of that 10 mile, I don't think that quite matches to a 29.50 10K. I would suggest to me that he's capable of much faster than 29.50. So don't be surprised if the pace he's setting right now is bang on for where he feels right. He's clearly experienced, and this is exactly where I think he wants to be in the race right now. So I think he's doing everything right. I think Chris Coulson's doing everything right for himself as well. He's sort of just drafting. Peter Smallcombe's up there too. Would it be nice to see somebody else hit the front right now? I guess so, but I also think it's nice to see that Kevin's got his tactics in order, and he kind of knows where he is with using his experience to keep the pace moving at the right sort of zone that he wants to be in.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with you, Cam, there, and everything you said. That 48 10-mile PB is that's a serious PB. That it really, really is, and I don't think it matches with the 10K PB. And maybe he's in better shape, and maybe a course like this is going to pull it out of him. The only thing I will say, he's having to do a lot of the early running. He's setting the pace, he's working hard, but. I guess, we mentioned his age. He's a vet of 35 there. Maybe there's a level of maturity that comes with that, and, that can be reflected in his performances. We can see Megan Stenhouse there, though. What I like about this is that Megan has got a group of athletes around her. So she, again, it's all, I feel like we're going over the same point again, but from a running perspective and from an athlete's point of view, what you want is to be in company. You don't want to be out solo. And for Megan here, this is great. And I tell you what, Cam, is that Dan Garbutt in the orange Durham vest near Megan Stenhouse there?
Obviously, I don't think it is. It's a look like I think I know who that is. I think that's Ian, and I think he is from Durham University, and he's a friend of. I think it is him, but I think he's a friend of Megan's. So they do train together, and I think that kind of explains why they are running together. But it does look like the guys are starting to pull away from Megan a little bit. Whether that's whether that's on her or not, or the fact that her pace has dropped or the guy's pace has increased, it's too hard to tell right now. But usually it does suggest that Megan's decided to tone it down a little bit and try and conserve her energy. But other guys, you can just start to see it looks unfolding a little bit here. Kevin is still at the front, but it does look as if Peter Smallcombe is still there and hanging on for dear life right now. It does look comfortable. I think actually, my apologies, I do think that is actually Chris Coulson at the front there. I do think it's hard to make out with the two screens. Yeah, that is Chris Coulson at the front there. I do apologise about that. But yeah, Kevin Campbell, no changes at the front of the men's race so far.
Yeah, so they're setting out onto coming into the end of that first lap now, and they're going to come back along the quayside, and then swing back round slightly, and then it's back out again. And then we're going to, we'll have covered that 50% of the race. We're coming up to the 5K mark soon. The pace, it looks solid so far, Cam. We're getting the splits through on leaderboard here. We've got Luke Holmes is coming up as a split of 2:53 per K. We've got Kevin Campbell coming up around that 2:53 per K. So they're operating at sub 30 minutes at the moment. So yeah, Campbell on the front there. Morpeth just sat in tight, and you know what, the Morpeth Harrier, they're going to have a bit of support out on that course today, because the Geordies do like their running, Cam, and they'll be able to spot a local vest like that. So I'm sure, he's got the home advantage here.
Yeah, I think the Geordies will love to see the Morpeth vest up there. It's always the same when you're out, even in the North East Harrier Leagues, the amount of support that you see out on those as well. You can just see, as we're coming back round into the first lap, as they sort of make that hairpin loop and go back out onto the course for the final lap, the people are already lining the streets at this time in the morning. And I think they do have, no, they don't have the markets. Do they have the markets on at this time?
No, the markets are on Sunday. That's why we're running this fixture on a Saturday, because the markets are on the Sunday, and they take up that full side of the quayside. So. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chris Park can do many things when it comes to putting on a race, but cancelling the quayside markets, that's not in his power. And I tell you what, I'm glad, because I love that market. But back to the front, Kevin Campbell there. Cam, you know what? Hats off to Campbell here, because he's hit this one from the front. He's broken down the field. I love to see it when runners do this. Someone gets on the front, they start putting the surges in, they're grinding the pace, they're pushing, and one by one the pack starts to whittle down. And that's what Kevin Campbell's done here. He's got the Morpeth Harrier, though, sat tight on him. It was not letting him go. And, we picked out a few names in our preview pod, and, we thought it might come down to this Morpeth Harrier here, Cam, and, he's right in the mix, and we can see Ben Felton there as well. He still looks to be operating around that sub 30-minute pace. I tell you, who's just came through on leaderboard. This is our little computer system that we use to get us live updates of what's going on in the race. Ryan McLeod. I knew McLeod was running today. He's gone through 5K in 15:19. So anyone that doesn't know who Ryan McLeod is, former GB international athlete, son of famous Mike McLeod as well, Olympic silver medalist. Fantastic talent, and he's just slowly got back into running. He's got his own social media page. He documents his training on there on his YouTube channel as well. And he's targeting a marathon. I think I want to say it's maybe Boston later on in the year, but I might be wrong with that. But yeah, anyway, McLeod is he's operating at sub 31 minute pace here, and that's cracking running that.
It's good to see him back. I'll be honest. You know, I used to live with him actually back in Loughborough. We're going back, you know, like 9 years ago now, roughly. Just time flies. You know, and you know, he was still running at such a high standard back then. And then I think he decided to stop the sport for medical reasons. He had a few issues going on that forced him to retire early. But the fact that he's came back and already he's putting in those sorts of times just shows the class that he has, and you know, great genetics as well, like you've just said there. So. Yeah. But like someone else who sat next to me apparently as well.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't like to mention that one.
I didn't quite get the gene pool that McLeod got. Yeah, father didn't hand too much down to me, but yeah, it wasn't. I was all right, Cameron, back in the day. But back to the front, it's Campbell. He's pushing on. What I will say, guys, is that if you are watching on the live stream, feel free to drop into our YouTube comments. Mr. Boyack has got the screen open. We'll give a shout out to people that have got anyone's racing today that they want to give a bit of airtime to. So yeah, please do jump on our live stream and give a shout out. I can see Mr. Cameron Boyack. He's pointing at the screen. He's got something he wants to say. Go on, Cam. Take it away.
I was just looking at the some of the comments. It looks like we've got go on George, whoever Georgie boy is, getting a lot of support there. Mick supporting Ben. Shout out to Ben. Harry Bell, better not DF. Sounds like someone's got a bit of a reputation here. So yeah, if
Harry Bell, yeah,
Harry Bell.
Harrier.
If you're running Harry, let's hope you stay inside the race, because it looks like you're going to be in some deep trouble otherwise. Kevin Bell, I'm assuming this is for Kevin. Looks like Run Daddy Run. Looks like Kevin's children or child is there watching. Let's go, Kevin. He's doing a great job from the front right now. I mean, just back to the race, just on the tone of Kevin. He is not slowing down. He's speeding up. His cadence has increased. His arms are starting to pump. I would say he's starting to look a lot more powerful than what he is, and he isn't looking back either. So it looks like he's still quite comfortable in my eyes. I don't think he's rocking from side to side too much. Still checking his watch, ensuring he's on pace. This was intent. He's came out here today with the intent of hitting the front and running his own race, and he's done exactly that, and it's the right thing to do. He didn't go off too hard, he's paced himself, and he's clearly got that experience. And I think what we were saying earlier with Kevin's PBs, you know, 48 minutes for 10 miles is really no joke, but Coulson's trying to hang in there. He's trying his hardest. It does look like it's starting to, is that gap starting to close? I don't know. It definitely isn't increasing, I know that, and Coulson looks like he's swelling a little bit from side to side, doesn't he?
Yeah, I'd agree there, Cam. We'll come back to that though, because we can see Megan here leading the ladies' race. Again, Cam, she looks to be. I know we said there was athletes maybe pulling away, but there's still athletes around her, and I think it's as long as there's a group that she can work off and a group that she can stick in with, I think that's going to be key for Megan getting a decent run in today. She's. It's hard to say exactly who else is behind her. I think it's Eve Pannone in second place, and she was maybe around the halfway mark. She was about 5 or 6 seconds behind Stenhouse, so she may be within striking distance. It's just we can't actually pick her up on the stream just because of the position of the bike. So it looks like Stenhouse took the 5k mark in 16:52, so she's working around that 33:45 mark to come home in, which would be a good run. And to be fair, if she rallies, the course record could be on. I thought she'd go maybe sub 34 minutes, but only just. So she's having a good run there. But Eve Pannone is predicted to come home in around about 33:55. So she was 5 seconds down on Stenhouse at the break, and then she was clear of Rachel Brown and Charlotte Ryan in third and fourth place there. On to the men's side of things, though, Campbell looks to be away now for me, Cam. He looks strong. That gap looks to have grown a little bit more as well. And I think, we're seeing the strength of the 10 mile. We're seeing the strength of the half marathon. We're seeing the strength of the marathon starting to really come through now. And again, strength as in his physical strength and his endurance, but also psychologically and mentally. This man's took this race out from the gun. He hit the front hard. He set the tone. And it was basically a message to the rest of the field to say, well, if you want to come with me, come with me. If you can't keep up, well, then see you later, I'm off. And that's what Kevin Campbell's doing now. He's building a gap. To me, though, Coulson, I keep getting this impression that Coulson's almost rallying and looks as though he's closing the gap. Because that, to me, when I started this, I'm saying Campbell's away. Now I'm looking at it and thinking, Well, could Coulson potentially close this? And I don't know what Coulson's speed is like. I know he's decent down at 8 and 1500, and he's done them over the season. And he has set PBs. He's a 354, 1500 metre man. If he's within striking distance, I know it's not all down to speed because it's at the end of a 10K. If he's close, could he get him, Cam? Or do you think it's sewn up?
Absolutely don't think this is sewn up, not one bit. There is a slide downhill on the way back, not too much, only a short period. But it did look there. There was a slide downhill when we were looking. You were saying, is he surging? Is he starting to, then is the gap getting bigger? The gap almost seemed like it was getting bigger. And then within about
that's why I called it.
within about 30 seconds, the gap had had closed again. And he is gritting his teeth. And I mean, if we look at it from this angle here, it looks like it hasn't grown much. It's about the same as what we seen a couple of minutes ago now, before when you were talking about the gap. But this is slightly downhill, this section. Is Campbell putting that effort in to try and get away as much as possible? Now, the best thing that Campbell could do now is keep pressing. He cannot let off the accelerator here. If he does, Coulson will catch him very, very quickly because he is rallying to try and catch up to the leader.
Yeah, you bang on there, Cam. I think what you said was really, really key. He needs to keep pushing because the problem that Campbell's got is that, you know, we're coming into about 2K to go now, I reckon. The problem that Campbell's got is if he's within striking distance to Coulson, that almost gives Coulson a little bit of confidence, a little bit of belief that he can get to Campbell. Now, if Campbell can break him and, you know, run the risk of redlining himself, but if he can get away from him, this 8 to 9.5K, then Coulson isn't going to be able to have that belief and have that confidence to really get at him that last 400 metres. Now, that gap looks quite long, but probably time-wise, it's about, what, 5 seconds, would you say? Just trying to pick up where the lead bike's going there and the time it's taken to get there. I think it's probably about a 5-second gap, which, you know, that can easily be closed. But what I will say is that Campbell looks so strong. He doesn't look like he's fading. So for me, Campbell just needs to keep pushing, keep driving on. He's got about, you know, 1.8K to go roughly. So he's coming into that last mile. And then I think, Cam, for him, once he gets with a K to go and he knows he's got that gap, again, that in turn builds a bit of confidence for him, thinking, I've only got a K to go. I don't think they're going to be able to close this. But Coulson looks tired, but he also looks like he's still fighting in there.
In all honesty, we've been watching this race now, haven't we? It's sort of unfold, and it looks like Coulson has been looking like this, I'll be honest, from the start of the second lap, from halfway. And we've only got 1,500 metres to go. And Coulson just doesn't look like he's really sort of changed his running style compared to what he did at the start of the 5K. So I'm not too worried about that. What I'm more worried about, because I think Coulson's going to continue to rally at the pace he's rallying at. He isn't going to slow down. He's a tough cookie. He's got good pedigree over the cross country. He finished 22nd at Bucks Cross Country Championships earlier in the year. And he's also had a good, you know, he was a 5th place at the B race at the British 10K Championships on the track. To be able to finish in the top 5 at a British Championships race on the track suggests that he's a tough nut and he can keep that pace going that he needs to keep going. But for me, Campbell looks like he's pretty much got this sewn up right now. I really can't see Coulson coming back to this, not with the K to go. And more so, not just about the fact that it's a K to go, but it's more the fact if you couple that with how Campbell actually looks right now, he looks very fluent and very, very efficient. He is looking back there. I don't think he really needs to be worrying about what's going on behind him. I know it's always, you know, I'm probably the worst person to talk to for this because I do like to look around myself a lot. But it's one of the worst things that you can do. You know, just conserve your energy. Don't let the person behind know that you're worried about them. It does keep looking back a few times, so it suggests he may be starting to hurt, which is understandable. We're coming into the final 1K of a 10K race, and he's been at the front. It's been a solo time trial for him. But he's not rocking. He's still efficient. He's still looking at his watch. He does keep looking around. Are you concerned about that?
No, because like you said, you do it a lot. And it baffles me.
I'm in a 1500 though.
Yeah, I know. I watch it. I know. I think it's more of a sin in a 1500. On the road, you know, you've got plenty of time. It's not as like energy intense. Whereas when I watch you on 1500, I think, what's he looking at? I really don't know. You could be 50 metres clear and you're checking your watch, you're looking behind you and think, come man, just switch on, mate, run your 1500. But enough about you, Cameron Boyack. It's all about Kevin Campbell today, marching on towards victory. He's going to pick up maximum points here if he can hold this. So he's going to nab 25 points to kick off the 2026 series. He goes top of the leaderboard. If he goes sub 30 minutes today as well, Cam, he's going to be under our qualifying time. So, you know, he could potentially be looking at 450 quid here. How close he gets to the course record, it's hard to really say, actually. I think we need to just wait to the official time because, Cam, we've been victim to the commentator's curse a couple of times where we've been like, oh my God, he's close to the course record. And then we get the official results at the 3 seconds out. So I'm not going to commit to anything like that today. But yeah, Kev Campbell marching on. Now, was that a change at the front of the ladies' race? Was that Eve Pannone? Because the camera's been focused on Stenhouse and we said Pannone was about 5 seconds behind. Now, it looks like this second bike is making its way through the pack. So whether we see Megan slightly further front, which I think we actually can. I can spot the orange vest that she was running with as well. So that looked to be Eve Pannone there in second place. And it looks like Stenhouse is still on the front. As soon as this camera gets, yeah, we can see her in the up in the front of the shot there. So Stenhouse on the front. That looks to be, again, a healthy gap at this stage, Cam. I can't imagine Pannone being able to close that. And Stenhouse, Pannone looked to be a little bit more isolated in the pack there, whereas Stenhouse is, you know, nestled in with a group of runners. We've got about 500 metres to go now. We're coming back into the quayside. And, yeah, Campbell's dominated this one from start to finish, hasn't he, Cam?
Absolutely. Just look at the amount of runners that are here today as well. What a fantastic event this is. And Campbell's going to be at the forefront of it with the amount of people around him. Everyone's going to see him coming in. Just see the band on the left-hand side as he comes through. Last couple of 100 metres. He doesn't need to worry about behind him now. He's got this sewn up. He's hit it from the front. He's done the hard work, and it's paid off. Sometimes in Rich, you've just got to take the risk in these races, haven't you? You've really just got to go for it, grind it, and trust the confidence. Have confidence in your training. Trust that what you've done is enough. You're in good shape. If you're running 48 minutes for 10 mile, I tell you what, when you're coming into a race like this, if I was coaching him, I'd be saying not many people can do that, so you've really got to hit the front, and it looks like it's paid off for him here today. Yeah,
absolutely, Cam. We can see Campbell coming into the close now. He's probably got about 200 metres to go, I reckon, 250 metres to go. Streaking down the quayside, nice to see the crowds there. Cam, I think you hit the nail on the head. He's dominated this one from start to finish, and you know what? This is a reward for him here. He's gone out, he's controlled it, he's set the tone, and actually he's really built a gap that last couple of Ks. So I'm intrigued to see the time here, because I don't want to quote the clock on there because I don't think that's fully accurate. But as soon as we can get an official time for Kevin Campbell as he comes across the line here, then we will do that. But, you know, Cam, I'm going to say, Quayside, wake up. Newcastle, wake up. Top Flight Series 2026, wake up, because Kevin Campbell has arrived on the scene this morning. He's took this one, gun to tape, and what a run for Campbell that is, across the line. We'll get you an official time. Oh, well, we've just seen the clock there. That looked to be around about the 29:20 mark. That is a huge run for Kevin Campbell there. One, it's a course record, but two, it's a massive PB. I mean, see Coulson across the line in second place there. He's probably going to be around his PB. In fact, I can see the clock. He will have gone a PB there. Now, where is Ben Felton going to be in this as well? Third place across the line, another sub 30 minute, and well under 30 minutes. Cam, this is fantastic running from these athletes this morning.
Oh, it's going to be tight. Ben Felton, he's got about 10 seconds on the clock left before that sub 30 minute barrier is going to be just outside. But he just comes across the line now. Oh, he's just outside.
So close. It's a PB for him. And I tell you what, it's a good run now. I think he'll probably be a little bit disappointed because Ben was quite clear that this was a sub 30 minute attempt and he hasn't quite got that. See Smallcombe across the line there. A decent run out for Smallcombe, but yeah, back to Felton. I think he will be a little bit disappointed. But for me, Cam, that's a good run, 30:07 there.
I'll be honest with you, that's a massive personal best, 30:07. He's knocked up, you know, that's close to, what, 15 seconds off his personal best. You can't argue with that, not on a day like today. You know, I understand, you know, he's never done the course before as well, and I think he's trying to judge that, you know,
yeah,
who's in front of me, who's behind me. He looked like he was on his own there as he came across the line too, so he didn't have people around him. I'll be honest, I really back him to do that. If he has another goal in the next couple of months, the shape he's in, and he has people around him over the next, for pretty much the full race, and he'll conserve your energy a bit better, as we were talking about in the race. I'd like to see them. I think he could do it, 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Cam, definitely. I think, running's all about being consistent, and not necessarily in your training, but also in your racing as well. And I always found, and I don't know whether you get this out, well, I think you will get this because I watched it happen at the end of your track season. You get into a flow with racing and you might race quite close together and pack a few races in. But that builds because you're just going through the experience of everything. They're travelling to a race, they're warming up to a race, they're getting ready for it, the psychological prep to it. And I think that in itself is training in itself. So boxing off a few races in close proximity, I think if Ben Felton can get on a quick course, get in a quick race in the next couple of weeks, I would think that he could potentially dip under that 30-minute barrier. Cam, I'm going to go to our official result for Kevin Campbell because I'm absolutely blown away by this. 29.19 from the front. I think that is the key thing. 29.19 from the front. I think, you look at a race where he gets dragged round and there's more in there, I think, definitely. A fantastic run from Kevin Campbell there, the Cambers-Lang athlete. Hats off to you. You've really made this race this morning. And it's been, in the studio, it's been great to watch because the questions were being asked, will he be able to hold this? Will he be able to main this? He's controlled it. How quick is it going to be? Course record as well, Cam. There's another financial reward there for the course record. So, Kevin Campbell, well done. You've earned your dollar this morning. Back to the front of the ladies' race, though. And it's Stenhouse, similar to Campbell, controlled it from the front, been in the top spot all the way around. So as soon as we get Stenhouse in shot, and we'll get an official result for her when she gets across the line. But Stenhouse, again, Cam, she's had a good run here, and she's kicked 2026 off in the way that she ended 2025.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think, she's clearly in very good shape. We heard from her coach that she had a bit of an illness in her last couple of races, which ensured that, she didn't quite achieve the result she wanted to achieve. But she's really driving home here, and I tell you what, she's going to be close to this course record if her earlier splits are anything to go by. And I don't think she's really slowed down too much. She's really got a prominent style as well, really long fluent stride.
Lovely stride, Cam. Lovely stride.
I think, will she be close to the course record or not? I don't know. We'll have to wait until the results come in. But the early split suggested that she wasn't too far off, and it could be a bit of a danger zone here. But she's just coming in now. She's got about 150 metres to go, maybe 100 metres to go, just coming under the famous Tyne Bridge as it's under reconstruction here. Arms are pumping as she drives in for home.
Yeah, Cam, Stenhouse PB, 34.14. So it was on at the halfway split. She was operating at sub-34-minute pace. And like Cam said, under the famous Tyne Bridge there, and she's reeling in with about, again, 200 metres to go. For Stenhouse now, this is just head down time. She knows she's going to take the victory here. She knows she's going to click maximum points. It puts her in prime position to defend her title for 2026. I guess the question now is, what's the time going to be on the clock? So Stenhouse, like you said, that long, loping stride, reaching out towards that finish line. Megan Stenhouse, this is your lead female for the Newcastle 10K. She's going to take the win this morning. Big props to Megan Stenhouse across the line there in... Whoa, we clocked the clock in the background. 34. Probably around about the 34:30 mark. We'll bring you an official result as soon as that comes through. We'll get a word on the other athletes across the line there. I think that's Eve Pannone in third place there now. But we'll get them official results through to you as quick as possible. So Stenhouse must have slowed down from that early 5K split, Cam. Maybe the pace was a little bit too hot. She did go out at a strong pace. She was operating sub-34-minute pace at the halfway mark, and it looks that maybe that fell away a little bit. But yeah, Cam, it was Stenhouse across the line, 34.30. Rachel Brown in second place, 34.41. So actually, Brown was well down at the halfway mark on Pannone and Stenhouse, and she's had a really good second half of the race there. So, Rachel Brown there coming across the line, 34.41. That's just outside of her PB. She was 34.37 was her PB. And then Eve Pannone in third place there. Wow, what a set of results, Cam. I'm exhausted. Another great fixture, and what a way to kick off 2026, Cam. I'm going to go straight over to you, even though the results are just fresh in, mate. I'm going straight over to you. Give me a highlight from the race today.
I tell you what, I was highly, highly impressed with Kevin Campbell today. What a run that was, 29.19 on a new course for him, by the way, from the front, ran his own race. It was essentially a solo time trial. I tell you what, this is a prime example why personal bests aren't always the full picture when you're going into a race. We looked at his 48.37 10 mile, which, by the way, is pretty rapid. To run 29, I mean, that's a big chunk off his personal best as well. 29.50, you know, that's huge. That's half a minute gone straight off the belt, off his first one of 2026. I'm going to put it out there. You know, I was just looking up earlier on the Commonwealth Games standards. You know, with him being Scottish, he's got a classic Scottish name, Campbell, and I was thinking, you know, 28.01. Is that too far out of the picture for someone like this? I don't think so. I think that if he's in somewhere like a Valencia 10K, could he get close to that? I would like to think so. We've already seen athletes go over to races like that and knock slice another minute off their personal best. He looked pretty comfortable on his own out there today. For me, that was the highlight of the day, and it was thoroughly enjoyable to watch. I love an aggressive runner too. I think it's exciting to watch. And you know, it always used to be the same. I remember watching Steve Cram commentating on, I think it was Ollie Hoare, and I think I remember watching him at the Gateshead Diamond League number of years ago now. It must have been, how long ago was that? 3 or 4 years? 4 years ago maybe?
Yeah, it's been a while ago, yeah.
And I remember Ollie Hoare was just coming onto the professional scene, and I think every race he just went boom, straight to the front. A bit kind of an Ingebrigtsen style, but almost more aggressive from the gun. And I remember him saying, I love to watch him because he's so aggressive. And I think there's just something about athletes like that when they hit the front of a race and they just head forward. I mean, he did look around a little bit towards him, which is understandable, you know. It's probably new territory for him. He doesn't know who any of the athletes are. He's kind of came down into England and he's racing against some of the guys from the Northeast he's never raced against before. But it was a phenomenal performance, and I think he's really backed up that 48-minute 10-miler. And I think those, you know, 2:17 for the half marathon, 65 minutes for the half marathon. I think those times will surely come down at some point too throughout the year, and he's in a good place. So shout out to Kevin. I think he's done a great job coming all the way down here, and it was definitely worth the trip.
Absolutely, Cam. You know, you can't grumble when you come to a race and get a PB anyway, but to take that big of a chunk off his personal best, I think you bang on the money there. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that. So on the ladies' side of things, I'll give you our top three. We had Megan Stenhouse there, across the line, 34.30. Rachel Brown, second place, 34.41. And Eve Pannone in there, 34.44. So some fantastic runs from our top three leading female athletes there. On the men's side, there must be a slight issue with the chips, Cam, because we know that Coulson was second. He's not shown up on the results, and there's a few of them that aren't. So whether those boys haven't put their chips on for the race, I'm not too sure. But we had Kevin Campbell in first place there, 29.19. To highlight a few other performances from the day, we had Dominic Jones, the Cambridge athlete who we mentioned was in that pack early on. He was 29.47. Hey, Cam, as if by magic, second place, Chris Coulson has just came up on the board for me there, 29.35 for Coulson. So that's a good run from him. Another PB there. So plenty of PBs. Fabian Bock, the German who was targeting the German national qualifying standard, 31.04. I'd imagine that won't be at the mark because his PB was quicker than that. We had Ryan McLeod in there, 31.10 for McLeod. That's another good run on the way back for him. We had Luke Holmes up there, 30.43. Plenty of athletes sub 31, and you know, a few of them sub 30 minutes as well. So you can't grumble at that for a 10K to kick off the Top Flight Series of 2026. And on note of the Top Flight Series for 2026, we're going to be back very soon. We're going to be back in Battersea Park for a 10K on the 14th of February. Battersea Park, always quick. Which is a quicker course, Cam? I'm going to put you on the spot. Quayside of Battersea Park.
I mean, 10K wise, did we have a Battersea Park last year? For 10K? I don't think we did.
I don't know whether we did. Cam Allen and Omar Ahmed going at it.
Oh, no, we did. We did. My bad. I'm getting muddled up. No, yeah. I think, for me personally, I just can't look past the Newcastle 10K as a course. I think that it's, I personally would like to think that it's quicker. I have ran around Battersea Park before, and I tell you what, when you go around the bends, you are in a slight camber, you know, which I think does help. But ultimately, I think in terms of the courses, they're probably pretty similar in terms of, very flat, both of them. Newcastle has a lot more straight running, but often in races, in 10K races in particular, and 5K races on the road, it's about the competition.
Yeah.
That's the thing that matters
Yeah.
here. And it's more about who turns out at Battersea. You know, are we going to get some bigger names there? I say bigger, but not necessarily. But are we going to get some good quality fields there, some good depth where you get a good, like, because, you know, Kevin had to work on his own today.
Yeah.
You know, I think if Kevin had had people around him, he would have run a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And it's very clear to me, you know, his form was great towards the end even. He wasn't exactly dropping or sloping when he was running. So, you know, will we see more people come out in Battersea? I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Cam. I think we'll get some good fields there. So, Saturday, 14th of February, we'll be live back in Battersea Park for the second fixture in the Top Flight Series for 2026. On the note of Top Flight, please do jump onto the Top Flight social medias. So they're on Facebook, Instagram. Give RunThrough a follow on those as well, and get subscribing and liking to the YouTube channel as well. We're going to be putting out all the podcasts, the race previews on them, and then also the live stream for these races. So please get involved, get engaged with us as well, because, you know, Cam, we've said this before, if you guys are giving us feedback on what you want to see a bit more of, you know, we'll take it on board. But what we're going to do now is we're going to end our little broadcast here, but we're going to flick back to the live stream as well, so you'll be able to watch a bit more of that and a bit more of the Masters race as well. So yeah, from me, Rich Morell and Cameron Boyack, it's been an absolute pleasure.